Many people believe that our brain works only on glucose. This is utter nonsense. Remember this, the body can have no more than 3 days of glucose reserves in the form of glycogen, that is, animal starch, but people who do not consume sugar, that is, everything that tastes sweet, there are such people, as you understand, they probably live longer than 3 days, right? And even more than 3 years, moreover, they live without diseases and with more than enough energy. All the long livers of the past practically did not eat sweets. The fact is that the brain prefers energy obtained from fats. The brain works, dear comrades, ideally on ketones and only then on glucose, because we have 2 ways for cells to obtain energy. The first is the Krebs glycolytic cycle, that is, energy is obtained by breaking down glucose, and the second way is ketos, that is, energy is obtained by breaking down fats, and the second way, ketos, is the most preferable and physiological for all our cells, and especially for brain cells, but this second process only works when the first one does not work. Here either one or other, so it works when a person eats no more than 25 to 30 grams of pure sugar per day, that is, glucose, fructose, sucrose, no more than 30 grams eaten from all foods during the day. You should have remembered from school that glucose is not essential, and that it is synthesized when there is a shortage of it for the body's needs from fats from proteins, and is synthesized easily and simply. So, contrary to the belief of most people, the brain needs very little glucose, and it will always be enough for this no matter what you eat. And on the basis of nutrition, clarity of mind will be better due to the fact that the main and preferred fuel for the brain is ketones, that is, fats consumed with food. Remember or find out if you are not in the know. There is such a process as glycogenesis. It occurs in each of us with you, and this process means the synthesis of glucose for liver cells themselves synthesize glucose. If it is needed, the body needs it. And there is not enough food when switching to keto nutrition. If you have insulin resistance or already diabetes, you need to eat more easily available fats, and the transition to ketos, that is, the restructuring of metabolic processes, will take you just a little longer than it could be if you do not have insulin resistance or diabetes. In this case, it is even more worth consuming more coconut oil or ghee. This will be ideal. Of course, you can use flaxseed. Add them to your diet in slightly larger quantities, but little by little at a time and many times a day, and do not eat any sugars at all. My videos, so that you can understand everything I will give you. Remember, the enemy of the brain is excess sugar. When consuming large amounts of sugar for many years, gradually, sooner or later, brain atrophy occurs. With high sugar, insulin resistance always occurs with all the ensuing consequences, and then this leads to a violation of the cognitive functions of the brain. On ketos, by the way, the condition improves with Alzheimer's and dementia. On ketopata, a person always has more energy. Do not confuse ketosidosis with SCES. Ketosidosis is a disease that occurs with increased acidity in diabetes. For example, this is a pathological condition, and do not confuse it with the process of ketosis. Fats are harmful unless you add sugar to them, that is, just whipped cream and the like, but not by themselves. By the way, our body itself produces up to 300 g of cholesterol per day. This is done by the liver. The main thing is not to ruin the natural metabolism with improper non-physiological nutrition with high sugars and high molecular complex proteins. But now, as promised, I will tell you about harmful substances and harmful factors for our brain and memory. Zinc, magnesium, selenium, oxygen, and hypoxia fats, omega-3 oils, B1, B12, D3, fluorine, sleep, fasting, and cellular communications. First, our brain, it must receive a lot of magnesium. It is very important not only for the circulatory and hematopoietic system of the body, but also for our mitochondria, that is, the power plant of our cells producing ATP monocyne triphosphoric acid, that is, energy. So for neuronal cells, magnesium is very important for their efficient operation. Otherwise, the density of synapses decreases, and this worsens both sleep and memory, increases fatigue, and where is a lot of biologically assimilable magnesium, and this is everything that is green in color. This is all greenery. These are wild plants. This is more than 300 plants. This and vegetables can, of course, and in the form of minerals and tablets to take, but it is best to get from natural food. Well, and as natural supplements, I recommend chlorella, spirulina, and active chlorophyll. Links will be in the description under the video. By the way, the parts of the brain are capable of regeneration, but for this we need physical activity our whole life and proper nutrition of the brain. That's what I'm talking about now, and so magnesium deficiency is harmful to the brain, and its sufficiency is necessary. The second, zinc, is vital for many functions of our body tasks. I had a separate video percentage, but in this regard I will explain that zinc works against amyloid plaques that accumulate in synapses and disrupt the connection between neurons that causes as a result dementia with age. Keep this in mind. I recommend taking zinc in the form of preparations in the form of monominerals, double or even triple the dose recommended on the package. A link to good quality zinc will be in the description. 3. Intermittent and prolonged fasting. All types of reasonable fasting. Physiologically, fasting improves brain function, so how to cleanse blood vessels. Fasting dissolves amyloid and cholesterol plaques. Then watch this video of mine about intermittent fasting. A few words about amyloid plaques. If the energy in your body is obtained only due to the breakdown of sugars, that is, if you eat sweets every day but at the same time you already have the subject of diabetes, that is, insulin resistance, then beta amyloids begin to form in the body, that is, amyloid plaques, and they even lead to Alzheimer's disease, including they cause dementia. Absolutely, definitely the connection, dear comrades, here with insulin, with sugar, with Memory loss is direct. We can say that such memory loss and dementia is diabetes mellitus type 3, but how to fast correctly, I already gave you one video. Who will be interested will watch, and the second video is called therapeutic cleansing and fasting. There we are already talking about prolonged fasting, about the fasting system, about the correct preparation for fasting so as not to there were mistakes sometimes very harmful. Fourth, quality sleep. It is very important for good memory on the channel. I had several videos about sleep, so now I will not talk about it. I will only say that it is necessary to sleep in the deep sleep phase from 23 to 3 o'clock in the morning, and this is necessary and very desirable in complete absolute darkness, so that the hormone melatonin is produced in full dew in the world, so necessary for us. Fifth, cellular communication. Dear viewers, to all who value their health of their loved ones, visit my website Natgar, or you look at least 2 sections, reviews and new products. But then what you want, so here are any of our products, devices and other goods you can order on our website. We will send them to you any cities in Russia and any countries in the world, from Kazakhstan to Great Britain, from Korea to the USA. All this is established. Everything is said on our website in the delivery and payment section, so come and look well and order whoever considers it necessary. I opened a second online store, beat grain and flour ground on stone millstones. I opened another channel on YouTube for headings, answers to questions of all kinds of video analysis. Who is interested, subscribe to this new channel of mine and wait for the corresponding video already there. I have a YouTube channel specifically for products. There is something that I do not publish on this main channel. I remind you, we produce unique food for cats and dogs that not only saturate but also heal and prolong the life of pets. Watch about this. Here is an important video. I give a hint on my video on how to combine food products, dietary supplements and medicines with each other so that no one asks me about it anymore. Pain, my advice: measure the habitat well where you live and work for radon radiation, electromagnetic radiation, and yourself for the absence of tumors. Here is a section on testers, and here for all this I will leave you links under this video that you are watching now, and lastly under each of my videos below there are important links including to my social networks. I highly recommend subscribing to the Telegram channel that duplicates YouTube. You never know what will happen to YouTube. And there is also a link to individual consultations. All 5, cellular communications. It is extremely dangerous for the brain, especially cell phones brought to the ear. Then there is directly in the brain. By the way, few people are checked, but if you do an MRI of the brain, and people usually do it on the occasion after car accidents, after a concussion, then many people are surprised to find that they have a temporal lobe of the brain. There is at least a cyst, and it is in the place where the person holding the phone pressed to the ear, that is, whether he is left-handed or right-handed. These patterns always coincide, and every third person now has a cyst in the brain, so I will not talk about this in detail now. After all, on my channel, on this very one on which you are now, several videos have already been released that fully explained and proved how this all happens. Under this video that you are now watching, there will be 2 links to my last 2 videos on this topic. Be sure to watch them. What safety measures I will briefly list for you now. Talk on a cell phone only on speakerphone or on a wired earphone. Keep the phone as far away from you as possible at night. The cell phone must be turned off or put with its back wall where the phone antenna is leaning against the glass of the window. Put the phone on the windowsill and away from the bedroom. Usually this is the kitchen, and of course use these 3-layer micro antennas in the form of holograms that are glued to the device's emitters, that is, cell phones, tablets, monitors, picture tubes, laptops and the like. Look, then be sure to here are there 2 models. What specific devices emitters are glued to this and that model. Count the number of these devices in your home, in the apartment. Buy from family members and stick neutronics on these devices. What do they give? They reduce resonant destructive effects on the cell from sources of high-frequency radiation by up to 600 times. That is, they remove modulations. That is, they do not allow destructive resonance that occurs sooner or later from high-frequency vibrations by imposing on the purity of vibrations of our body cells and our DNA. By the way, DNA, who did not know, this is also an antenna. So the operation of the devices will not change. In no way. And the modulations, this destructive resonance is leveled. In general, I advise you to be sure to watch these videos of mine that are vital. Now you will simply understand everything yourself. And under those videos there will be sources of information, both are domestic and foreign. A complete evidence base for my words. The 6th point is oils and fats. Yes, fats are very important for the brain, but only not those that oxidize quickly. I recommend olive, flaxseed, argan oil, avocado, macadamia, sesame oil, hemp oil. These are the best fats. Of course, you can also use fish oil, for whom this is not a stumbling block on, say, the ethical component. From the point of view of biochemistry, it is possible and even useful, but there is an alternative. This is omega-3 obtained from single-celled seaweed. In order to understand all this, you should definitely watch my video omega-3-6-9 fatty acids, and be sure to watch at least the last 3 videos of an interview with Professor Isaev, the founder of the world study of the effect of omega-3 fatty acids on organisms, because at least 20% of the gray matter of the brain consists of omega-3 fatty acids. Especially important for our brain are 2 fatty acids, omega-3 CPC and DHA. For someone it will be seafood, but remember that there is a synthesis of omega-3 fatty acids by our body. However, not everyone has this synthesis, and not everyone has enough. Again, I explain this point in my lecture about omega-3. Of course, omega-3 3 fatty acids are necessary for everyone but especially for pregnant and nursing women for the development of children for